Nature of love of God is so nice that, okay, you didn't get the inundation, one drop will do. And you search before it's gone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Another one of our New York stalwarts, Grace Locha Nadapu, who I've known since 1974. We served Srila Prabhupada in many capacities all over the world, especially in New York and Paris, the two most cosmopolitan cities on the planet.
Of course, the light's always on. Before speaking, I'd like to take permission from my spiritual master that he'll give me the power to explain things according to my realization, my experience in Krishna consciousness, and take permission from senior devotees. So many nice devotees here that are far more experienced than I am, who are senior to me also in terms of years in the movement. I joined the movement in the beginning of 1970 in Paris. And I saw devotees who had been sent by Srila Prabhupada to preach Krishna consciousness and open a center in Paris. And they were just walking down the street, and I was eavesdropping to find out what planet they were from, and to find out what language they were speaking, because I couldn't make sense of it. And I went up to them and said, what are you guys doing? And they said, we sing and we dance, come and see us. So, and they gave me an invitation. And I thought it was an interesting phenomenon. And I went to the Sunday program at the American Center in Paris. And there was, I think, two devotees at the time, Umapati and Hanuman. They had been living under a bridge in Paris. They had no place to stay. And at one point, after I'd been going for several weeks, they said, we're getting kicked out of our place and they're making us leave. Does anyone know of a place where we can go and cook our meals and offer it to Krishna? I said to them, there's one condition, that you have to feed me, because I love the prasadam. In fact, it was my first service at one of those Sunday programs to serve out, there's even a ladle to serve it out. I just used one plate to put it on another plate like that. And everyone got prasadam and everybody was satisfied. You know, Prabhupada used to cut up an apple and give pieces of apple after his lectures, and everyone was satisfied. So, from that point, I became involved in the Sankirtan movement. At first, I didn't want to. I didn't want to shave my head, put on a dhoti, put on tilak, or anything else. We didn't have kurtas in those days, you just wear a t-shirt. So, and when you look like a devotee, and you chant like a devotee, and you preach like a devotee, you're a devotee. You have made up your mind, you have changed the course of your life, you have chosen what direction you will take, and what your ambition is. Now the ambition is to please Krishna, and to please the spiritual. So I mentioned London. And we saw, for the first time, Shri Radha Londoneshwar, most beautiful deities. And devotees were so ecstatic to be there that I remember devotees from Paris, when we attended the first kirtan in the temple room, one of them actually fainted. I don't think I've seen that since then. But the devotees were so happy, so exhilarated, that they felt so much connection to the deities, to Radha and Krishna. Later on, I received a first initiation. Prabhupada wrote to me, your name is Lochanananda Das, which means one who takes pleasure when he sees the form of Krishna with his eyes. And then he quoted the verse from Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Valochanena, that verse where it is said that one who has anointed his eyes with the pulp of love can see Krishna within his heart. So we should all come to that point where we can see Krishna in our heart. The pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere, in all things, and at every moment. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that my pure devotee is never lost to me, nor am I lost. See him, but that doesn't mean we don't serve him. You don't have to see Krishna to engage in his service with all your heart. And then second initiation, I went to London again, and Srila Prabhupada was there. And he called me into his room, and this is a very interesting story, actually. And I had a long stem rose and offered that to Srila Prabhupada, and all the other devotees being initiated with Brahman Gayatri Mantra also had a long stem rose to offer to him. And Srila Prabhupada said, just sit down. He was sitting at a low desk, and I sat down by him, and he said, right here. So I moved closer to him. And he said, right here. So I moved even closer. I was getting closer and closer. And then he said, right here. So my knee was practically touching his knee. It was like a quarter of an inch separation there. And I was thinking, boy, this is very close. And he said, no, like a fool in the presence of your spiritual master. So, and I still feel like a fool when I'm sitting here talking about Prabhupada. You know, we say so many things about Srila Prabhupada, but he is actually so much more than we could ever say about him. His qualities were unlimited. It was impossible to conceive of what he was doing and transforming the entire world by his presence. People say, oh, he was the great general among devotees. No. Of all the Vaishnavas throughout the world, never done anything like that. First of all, to cross an ocean. No one had done that before, previously. He crossed an ocean despite having 2 heart attacks crossing the Adriatic Sea. But then the passage that he called a sea journey across the Atlantic was the most peaceful. But actually it's Srila Prabhupada who is the captain of our ship, is it not? So we take shelter of him. Now when Srila Prabhupada arrived in New York, he had been praying, my dear Lord, please make my words suitable for their understanding. He knew that there were simply mlechas, yavanas, people who were involved in unregulated sense gratification at every moment and always looking for more and more, wanting to be the monarch of all they survey, or as Srila Prabhupada said, the Lord of all they survey. But still, Srila Prabhupada was carrying out the order of his spiritual master. And on that basis, he came to this country to establish the Krishna consciousness movement right here in New York City. Hare Krishna. So, for some, I don't know, some reason, some special blessing that we have, this opportunity to worship Srila Prabhupada on his appearance day is available to all of us, to everyone. Everyone is invited to come and hear the teachings of our spiritual master. So he is Jagat Guru, spiritual master of the entire world. And you don't make it back to Godhead, what was his promise? I will come back for you. Where have you mercy upon his followers? So whoever comes to our movement at this point in time, you may not see Srila Prabhupada in his physical manifestation, but he is present, just as for us hearing the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said, has the same potency as when Krishna spoke it to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So similarly, whoever comes to our movement to this day can receive the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and embrace his teachings within your heart. In other words, you cannot separate your life from the teachings of the spiritual master. He is with you as much as you want him to be with you. He lives forever, and his instructions, and the follower lives with him. So it's not a question of time or physical presence. This is eternal. Prabhupada said spiritual master is eternal. So similarly, our relationship with him as his followers is eternal. In fact, on a morning walk in Geneva, Switzerland, Srila Prabhupada was asked, will we recognize you when we return back home, back to the spiritual world? And he simply replied, yes, you will. I will be there, and we will have big ISKCON in the spiritual world. So we'll all be there, and we will recognize one another, but on a much different platform. So, just continuing along that line, Srila Prabhupada had engaged me after opening the center in Paris. I was the temple treasurer at that time for Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who was in charge of everything. And from Paris, I went to Amsterdam Temple, and I was temple president there. We installed Gaurnitai deities, Radha Krishna deities, Sri Radha Gopinath, and we had the book distribution program become #1 in the world. That's a fact, because we had printed the Bhagavad Gita as it is in the Dutch language. Prabhupada had written to me that this is very important work, so do it nicely. And we did. And then we had a Bhakta program, and we doubled the number of devotees, even more than doubled the number of devotees while I was there. I was there for about 2.5 years. So the movement was growing and expanding like wildfire. In fact, Srila Prabhupada wrote to me in one occasion that our movement is expanding all over the world, and it has been predicted that if we continue at the present rate, our movement will be religion in 10 years. That's the vision of the pure devotee. Prabhupada was not thinking in terms of crisis management. He was thinking in terms of world conquest, conquering the world for Krishna, bringing everyone to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what was his method? He explained that in the Bhagavad Gita in the introduction. He said, let there be one God who is worshipped by all, and that is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And let there be one scripture by which he is understood, and by which people will be freed from their confusion about what to do, where they come from, who they are, where they're going. And that is the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And then there should be one mantra that everyone can chant, and that is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And one religion, devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That was his vision for world conquest. In other words, he was acting as an extended limb of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, acting on his behalf as an emissary from the spiritual world. to introduce people to Krishna consciousness and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Krishna is the source of everything, material and spiritual. He is the source of all planets. He is the source of all living entities. Everything emanates from me, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Aham bija pradakpita, and I am the seed-giving Father. So we are all related through Krishna, and that is what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to preach. And all people throughout the world can understand that. There is so much turmoil, so much divisive rhetoric, hatred, antagonism throughout the world, not just on a political level, but on an interpersonal level. And that will all disappear in the blink of an eye if people take to Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada was asked, how long does it take to surrender to Krishna? And he said, 1 second. So transformation can take place instantly, but we have to be preaching very vigorously. And that's what he told me on a morning walk at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. I asked Srila Prabhupada, will heads of state one day take to Krishna consciousness? And he laughed, he chuckled, and he said, for that to happen, you must preach very vigorously. So he didn't say it's beyond the realm of possibilities. In fact, it is very possible. And it may not happen in my lifetime, but maybe it'll happen in your lifetime. We are getting near the end of life, in our 70s and 80s, some of us, and we're passing the baton to all of you to take up this mission to preach Krishna consciousness and bring people to worship at the feet of the deities of Sri Sri Radha Govinda, to take shelter of the eternal spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. And in this way, you will please Krishna immensely. You will attract his attention, and then he will take charge of your life. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
The schedule is progressing nicely. We'll have Pushpanjali at 1, and we just have one text from a god brother who couldn't make it, can't walk, or asked to please Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Tivesa Surupane Hare Krishneti Mantrena Prachyatarane Vishvachaya Prabharaya Divyakarunya Murtiye Sri Bhagavat Madhurya Gita Jnana Pradayane Gaurashi Rupa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishevane Radha Krishna Padam Bhoja Bringaya Gurave Namaha. And his humble entreaty is thank you for not only visiting us materialists, but mixing with us and associating with us firsthand, thus engaging us in Mahaprabhu's mission. We remain forever indebted. Your unworthy initiate, Tarun Krishna Das. So, and then Bhushar Prabhu, would you like to?
Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Diname Namaste Sarvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nevasisa Sinyavadi Pasata. So I'm very happy to be here speaking about Srila Prabhupada. I think some of the devotees said that really explain his existence enough. The only way we can learn about trans-elusive, that Krishna Prema. But by the assertion, emotional, even persons like that became affected by Srila Prabhupada. Because that is the potency of a pure devotee. So what did Srila Prabhupada give that's very special was that he gave the morning program to his disciples. They can come to the Mangalatik, they can come to the Tulsi Devi worship, they can come to the Guru Puja, Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is how the devotees became purified, by that intense purification process. And we're very lucky, process of purification, to get the purification. Prabhupada knew that. He didn't tell his disciples just study the books. There was no direct training by a pure devotee. Then you'd find it just remained philosophical, and be the only person, nobody else can ever approach Krishna like. Just like he said, Napoleon or Alexander the Great. After they're gone, then everything is finished. And so Prabhupada, very intelligent, that he provided the facility to this movement to go on in the future. Therefore, he's created the GBC. We should all remember that. That all these things that Prabhupada did are for a particular purpose in the long term. Prabhupada always thought about the long term. Prabhupada said that he's looking forward to the children and the grandchildren in this movement. What does it mean? That means household life. So Prabhupada planned. One devotee asked Prabhupada one time, I know a story, he said, are we going to allow women in this movement? Guide would instruct all the devotees, just like he wrote a letter to this devotee or that devotee. Prabhupada is very personal. And that is the way that love developed for Srila Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada wasn't just a philosopher, he was a personalist. Many devotees have that experience of Srila Prabhupada just looking at them. And they become relieved from their anxieties just by Prabhupada looking at them. So today, how we carry on, we have to follow what Srila Prabhupada gave. You know, the parampara. It doesn't end with Srila Prabhupada. And we should not think that our spiritual master is not as great as Srila Prabhupada. We should understand that every spiritual master is connected to Srila Prabhupada. And as long as he can follow properly and remain loyal to what Prabhupada is doing, then that will be effective. And this movement will continue and people will become Krishna conscious. It's not just the philosophy important, we have to develop the good qualities of a devotee. That means to each other. It doesn't mean I worship the deity and I treat other devotees bad. So all these things can be learned gradually. We have to find the defects in our own character, our own personality. And we have to correct those. That is why the association of devotees is there. To make us better. We can always see a better devotee. We can always hear from a more advanced devotee. And that is where the false ego will become subdued. If the false ego is not subdued, there will be no advancement. So this is what Prabhupada is giving, the practical way how to become spiritually advanced. Brahmatmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti sabhyate. Because we're all spiritually realized persons, we are on the path back home. And so we need the association, we need the guidance of advanced souls. And that's what Krishna is giving, not by chance. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So everything is very nice, but we should understand that Krishna Prema is the objective. And to get there, we have to practice it. We shouldn't, that the Krishna Prema is when I float into Krishna and I become enlightened. It doesn't happen like that, you know, because all these, Prabhupada taught us that we're impure. And if you follow the process, you can become purified. So, Prabhupada is like a father in the spiritual dimension. You have to take birth with the father to get into the spiritual dimension. There's no other way to do it. Just like to get this body here. And you just follow the senior devotees, you follow everything properly, and you'll be following. If you follow the sincere senior devotees, then you'll be following Srila Prabhupada. There'll be no speculation. And then gradually you'll attain the platform of transcendental ecstasy, and you'll attain all life's goal, and you'll be very happy. So Prabhupada is giving us everything. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Bhushar Prabhu. I'd like to introduce my dear godbrother Bhumi Paki Prabhu, another Henry Street.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nimvasesha Sanyavari Pastachate Shatarane Kurave Gaura Rupam Tashagajam Arupurim Maturim Gostavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Moho Radhika Vanshakava Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhuve Bacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Trinadapi Sunichena Tarodapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Bhakcha Vahina Parada Lakshay Shiptascha Kamarita Rangamaje Kripa Mai Tvam Saranam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charana Vrindam. So first of all, I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual masters, Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. And I'd also like to offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of my Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer respects to all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are, were, or will come in the future. And I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances to the Sannyasyan Maharaj and pray for their mercy that I may be able to speak something that's pleasing to the ears of the devotees. So we mentioned in Srila Prabhupada's Pranam mantra, Gauravani Pacharane. So what is that Gauravani that our Srila Prabhupada preached all over the world? There's one verse that begins by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Aradyo Bhagavan Vrajeshas Tanayas Tad Dhamma Vrindavana. So we come here to worship our worshipful Ishtadev. But who is that Ishtadev? Is it Lord Nrsingadev? Is it Lord Varaha? Is it Krishna and Dwarka? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's opinion and opinion of Mahaprabhu is that it's this Krishna who's the son of Nanda Maharaj. He is our most worshipful object. And just as he's worshipable, so is the land of Vrindavan. The method that Krishna is served by the Vrajramanis or the Gopis, this is the highest form of worship. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the supreme evidence for this. And it says Krishna Prem is the ultimate goal of life. It's stated that this is the opinion and conception of Mahaprabhu, and we don't care for any other cheating opinions. So in the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's explained Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, or the four goals of human life. So generally people want to be religious so they can be rewarded, and God will give them some type of artha or economic development. And then by that economic development, they can get sense gratification. And from after sense gratification is all said and done, then they want to be liberated. But why is this considered to be a cheating process? Because it doesn't give Krishna Bhakti. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yuto bhaktir hoksaje ahoitukiya pratiyata ya yatma suprasidati. That type of bhakti must be engaged, and it should be unmotivated, and it should be unbroken, because this will completely satisfy the self. So this self, who's the supreme self? Sri Krishna. And when Krishna is pleased and satisfied, just like if we water a plant and we put water on every leaf and every piece of bark, will that plant be satisfied? No. We have to water the root. In the same way, if we're thirsty, if you go stand in the shower, is that going to satisfy your thirst? No, you have to put it in the stomach. So devotional service or bhakti to Sri Krishna that's unmotivated by any type of reward-seeking activity or impersonal liberation, this is actually satisfying to Krishna. But how do we perform that type of service to Krishna? Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharma Parityagya, Mamekam Saranam Vraja, Aham Tvam Sarva Parbibhyo, Mokshayi Yami Masuchaha. Just surrender to me. But what is that process? Can we surrender directly to Krishna? So every morning we're praying like this. Saksad Hari Trainam Samasta Sastreya Yuktasya Tabag Yateva Sadbi Kintu Prabhuya Priya Evatasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam. So it's stated that the spiritual master, he's the worshipper God. Ashraya Tattva, Ashraya Vigraha. Who is the topmost in Ashraya Tattva? Does anyone know? I'm sure Maharaj knows. Ashraya Tattva, this is Srimati Radhika. And our Gurudev is a representative of that camp from coming from the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika. Because those servants of Srimati Radhika are so pleasing, because Krishna states, he tells the gopis, I cannot repay you. But those servants of Srimati Radhika, oh, they're doing so much to please Srimati Radhika, so Krishna is ever indebted. And Prabhupada mentions this when he came. He said, if Krishna wanted the grace of his Swamini, then certainly he must help in my preaching mission. So how else could Prabhupada fail? Because he's captured Krishna with his pure Sudha Bhakti in his heart and the service that he gave. So in this way, he allowed all of us the opportunity to come in that line of our Guru Varga, because they're all servants, like Maharaj mentioned, sons of Mahaprabhu, because they have that same mission as Mahaprabhu. And what is that mission? To come and give Sudha Bhakti, as defined by Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Prabhupada stated we're known as Rupanugas. Srila Rupa Goswami gave this verse, Anyabhilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. So he's explaining what is not bhakti. Then he explains what is bhakti. Anukulyena Krishna Nushilanam Bhakti Uttama. The activities that we perform with our mind, body, and words, and our very Atma, dedicated for the well-being and satisfaction of Krishna, free from the desire for material gain or impersonal liberation, and done exclusively for Krishna's pleasure. This is Sudha Bhakti. This is the type of bhakti that Srila Prabhupada came to give us. So a lot of times we like to speak of the exalted glories of Srila Prabhupada like a mountain, so high when you look up, it's so difficult. But we don't understand how deep our Srila Prabhupada is. Very, very deep. So we should be prepared. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned, he said he organized the Gaudiya Math and all the missions of follow, and you put them in the bag, but when you shake the bag, what happens? All the rocks rub together. So sometimes there may be like some tension, but we should be tolerant and patient, like Mahaprabhu has preached. Because in being this way, eventually from the shaking of the rocks, all the dirt and jagged edges come off. And then they're all nice, pristine, and clean. So Srila Prabhupada has come to give us this opportunity to advance. So we should understand only by the mercy of the Sudha Vaishnavas can we understand what is Krishna consciousness. So there's one verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila chapter 25, text 265. Krishna consciousness means understanding Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Prema Tattva, and Lila Tattva. So there's two considerations, Tattva Vichara and Rasa Vichara. So we should lock into this process because this is not a 100-yard dash. This is a one-way ticket. This is not round trip. Well, I'll give that up and come back maybe later. No, it's like the commercials for Lotto. It says you gotta be in it to win it. So everyone desires, oh, if I get a lot of money, if I play Lotto, but they never play, so how are you gonna win? So unless we take to the process of Sudha Bhakti, Prabhupada says devotee means pure devotee. So we have to take sincerely to the process, and it may take us a while, but how can we obtain this? By the association of the Sudha Vaishnavas. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sangha, Krishna Bhakti Janma Tenu Puna Mukhya Anga. The root cause of bhakti is association of advanced devotees. When one's consciousness becomes awakened, that type of association is the most essential thing. So we pray every day during Tulsi Puja, E Neve Dina Dada Sakira Anugata Koro, under the guidance of the gopis. So this is the highest form of pleasure, and if we're so qualified, we may be able to reach that level someday. So we pray for the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that on this day, not only today, but every day, every moment, every second, we can be so absorbed in our consciousness and help it to expand, to accommodate the pure prema that he's come to give. So I can remember a few incidents. One incident, I was in Washington in in the back, and all the sannyasis and everyone were walking with Prabhupada. So when Prabhupada stopped and turned around, they made a space. So when Prabhupada walked back, I was in the front. So Prabhupada stopped, and he told a message to all of us who were on the Sankirtan party. He said, if you continue to push on this Krishna consciousness movement, you're guaranteed to go home back to Godhead. In my mind, now, Prabhupada was about 5'5", and at that time, I was like 20 years old. I was maybe like 6'1". And I was thinking, how are we gonna go back to Godhead just by doing that? Just a thought. And immediately when I thought that, Prabhupada turned and looked me in the eye. And then he did his hand like this. He said, yes, you are guaranteed. And that gave me such an assurance. And in my heart, I said, okay, I have so many faults, so many problems. But bhakti is not based on the faults and the problems that we have. If by the mercy of a Sudha Vaishnava, we can get pure bhakti, bhakti will manifest first, then all unwanted things will go away. Just like Prabhupada mentions in the preface of Nectar Devotion, he says, every service has an attractant. So right now, all of us are taken to the process of chanting the holy name. So we're praying to the holy name with taste. Because if we develop taste in the holy name, everything else will be easily given up. One example, because I know we're short on time. Once, one Brahmin prayed to Lord Shiva that he needed some wealth so he could get his wife married, his daughter married. So Lord Shiva told him, oh, go see Sanatana Goswami. So Sanatana Goswami was chanting, and this Brahmin approached him and said, oh, Lord Shiva sent me to you. He said, you have some wealth that you can give me. So Sanatana Goswami's thinking, oh, my friend Mahadev, oh, I can't let him down, there's some truth. So Sanatana Goswami had all forgotten that there was one touchstone that was thrown in the garbage. So he told this Brahmin, go get the touchstone. It's there, go through the garbage, you'll find it. So I mentioned this before. Those who've been in India, they know when there's garbage in India, it's really garbage. It has no use. So he pulled it out and he was so happy. He touched it, and turned to gold. So then he left. But he was thinking, he had this in the garbage. He must have something more valuable. And he said, you go, throw that in the Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're so quick in our life that we want all of these things. We want to mix the oil in the water like some kind of chemical. Don't mix. But if we understand the lives of our acharyas, like the 6 Goswamis, like Srila Narottam Das Thakur, they were so wealthy. Srila Rupa Goswami has described that he had 8 boatloads full of gold. In today's society, that would be like billionaire. But he gave it all up for Chaitanya Maharaj. We should simply pray to Srila Prabhupada.